Ever feel like today's customer, I don't know, it's like they're coming from a different planet, like they've got their shields up, BS detectors on high alert.
It's the new economy consumer,
Yeah.
right? They've seen it all, heard it all. Frankly, they're just over it.
Over it. Exactly. And that's where I think Dan Kennedy's No BS Selling is so relevant. And we're lucky enough to be working from a Russian translation, which adds a whole other layer of intrigue to his already sharp insights.
It's so fascinating to see how his strategies, which are known for their directness, how those translate across cultures.
Absolutely, yeah. So no more easy sale days, right? Kennedy, he compares today's consumer to a bloated tick. Kind of a harsh visual, but it does drive home the point.
It's a very vivid image. He's getting at this idea that consumers are just bombarded with choices and information they're wary of being sold to.
Yeah, for sure. So how do we break through the noise and actually connect with these, skeptical souls? And Kennedy's answer, in classic no-nonsense fashion, is mastering what he calls immunity to know.
And he doesn't just mean developing a thick skin. Kennedy actually argues that you should anticipate, even welcome, the no.
Okay, so you're kind of like flipping the script. So instead of dreading rejection, you're using it to your advantage. That's interesting.
Precisely. And he tells a great story about his early days selling to drugstores. And his company had really messed up an order, like big time, which left his clients in a really tough spot. Most salespeople would just crumble, but Kennedy used it as an opportunity to demonstrate his commitment to fixing the problem.
So turning a disaster into a trust-building exercise.
Exactly. By just acknowledging the mistake head-on and focusing on the solution, he salvaged many of those relationships. And it illustrates his belief that you can control the sales process, even when it feels like everything's working against you.
Yeah, it's that whole idea of under-promise, over-deliver, but taken to a whole other level.
Absolutely. And this leads directly into another one of Kennedy's key tenets, the art of listening, right?
And this one is tough, I think, for a lot of us, especially when we're excited about our product or service, we're ready to launch into our pitch, but are we truly listening to what our customer needs?
It's a really common trap.
Hmm.
Kennedy believes most salespeople, they're so focused on delivering that rehearsed spiel that they miss these crucial cues from the customer. He provides a list of 21 things that salespeople should be listening for. Things like, what are their aspirations? What are their fears? What frustrates them about current solutions? He wants you to really get inside their heads.
So it's less about, dazzling them with your pitch and more about understanding their world, their challenges, their desires.
Precisely. When you can articulate a customer's needs back to them, maybe even better than they can, that's when you earn the right to be heard.
It's about showing them that you're not just there to sell them something, you're there to help them solve a problem.
Exactly. But it can't just be empty words. That's where the power of testimonials and proof comes in.
Because anyone can make claims, but the real credibility comes from tangible results, right?
Right. Kennedy argues that letting your satisfied customers do the talking for you is infinitely more persuasive than any sales pitch you could ever come up with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like that saying, the proof is in the pudding. Or in Kennedy's world, maybe the proof is in the profit margins.
Exactly. And he has this great anecdote to illustrate this point, what he calls the shed shop story.
Oh, yeah, this is a classic.
So this shed salesman, he was struggling to stand out in a crowded market. Kennedy encouraged him to tap into the power of customer stories.
And not just any stories, but stories about how customers were using their sheds in these unique and interesting ways, right?
Exactly. He compiled his booklet. He titled it 83 Practical Uses for Shop Sheds.
83 uses. I'm struggling to come up with 5.
Right. It's unexpected. It's
Yeah.
intriguing. And it piques your curiosity. But more importantly, it showcases the versatility of the product through these real customer experiences. Sales went through the roof.
Wow. It makes you wonder, what could my own customers tell the world about my product or service? What's my 83 uses booklet? Okay, now we're cooking. This is where it gets really interesting. Kennedy, he wants you to completely rethink pricing with his concept of selling money at a discount.
It is one of his bolder strategies. He argues that often we undervalue what we offer. We're so afraid of scaring customers away with price that we end up undervaluing ourselves.
So it's about flipping the script, right? Positioning your product or service as an investment, not an expense.
Exactly. And he tells this fantastic story about a photographer who was constantly being asked to lower his prices. Kennedy advised him to do the opposite, triple his fees and target a more affluent clientele.
Wait, triple his prices? That's a bold move.
It was a gamble, but it paid off. By positioning himself as this premium photographer, he attracted a whole new segment of clients who were willing to pay for his expertise. He wasn't just another photographer anymore, he was an artist.
So it's about understanding your value and not being afraid to own it.
Precisely. And sometimes that means making bold choices that challenge conventional wisdom.
Right, it really is. It's like that old saying, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And sometimes raising your prices can actually increase demand.
It's counterintuitive, but it speaks to the psychology of scarcity.
Mm.
We naturally gravitate toward things that are rare, exclusive, hard to come by.
Yeah, that limited edition mentality. Suddenly everyone wants it because it's perceived as more valuable.
Precisely. And Kennedy argues that you can create this aura of exclusivity in your own business, even if you're not selling, million-dollar yachts or designer handbags.
So how do you do it? Give me the secrets.
It can be as simple as limiting your availability,
Mm.
maybe offering special bonuses for a limited time, or even just changing the language you use. So instead of saying, I'm available anytime, you might say, I only have a few slots left on my calendar this month.
Creating that sense of urgency, right, that get it while you can feeling.
Exactly. It taps into that primal fear of missing out. Now, once you've built that trust, demonstrated value, and created that sense of urgency, it's time to talk about closing.
Because at the end of the day, getting that yes is the goal, right?
Absolutely. But Kennedy's approach to closing might surprise you. He's not a fan of those, high-pressure manipulative tactics. In fact, he thinks they're counterproductive.
So no cheesy closing lines.
Nope. He believes that if you've done everything else right, the close should happen naturally. It's about creating an environment where the customer feels informed, empowered, and ready to make a decision.
So it's more about guiding them towards the sale rather than pushing them into it.
Precisely. And one of the ways he suggests doing this is through subtle language shifts. So instead of asking, are you ready to buy? You might say, which package are you leaning towards?
Oh, I like that. So it assumes the sale is already happening.
Exactly. It gives the customer a sense of ownership over the decision.
Yeah.
And it eliminates that feeling of being pressured. Another strategy Kennedy advocates for is what he calls the shock and awe box.
Okay, I love this one. It sounds almost theatrical. Tell me more.
It's all about positioning yourself as the expert before you even step foot in the room. So instead of just showing up to a meeting empty-handed, you send potential clients a box filled with valuable information related to their needs.
So you're not just selling them on your product or service, but you're selling them on your expertise right off the bat.
Exactly. Imagine this. You're a financial advisor meeting with a potential client. Instead of just giving them, like, a brochure, you send them this beautifully packaged box. And it has a book on retirement planning, a personalized financial assessment, maybe even like a small gift with your branding.
So by the time you walk in the door, they're already impressed.
Exactly. You've established that credibility, built trust, and positioned yourself as the go-to expert in their mind.
Okay, so we've talked about mastering the art of listening, the power of testimonials, and even like flipping the script on pricing. Is there anything else we need to know to navigate this new world of selling?
One of the most important takeaways from Kennedy's work is this. Stop chasing clients and start creating demand.
Oh, okay, so it's about shifting the power dynamic, so to speak. Instead of being at the mercy of whoever might be interested, you're creating a scenario where people are actively seeking you out.
Exactly. And one of his core strategies for doing this is what he calls magnetic marketing. It's about becoming so irresistibly attractive to your ideal client that they can't help but be drawn to you.
So what's the secret sauce? How do you become a magnet in your industry?
It's a combination of factors. It's about offering something truly valuable and unique. It's about positioning yourself as a thought leader. And it's about understanding your target audience so well that you can anticipate their needs and desires.
So it's about becoming that go-to person in your niche, the one that everyone knows, likes, and trusts.
Precisely. And Kennedy provides a ton of practical strategies for making this happen. He's a big believer in what he calls the power of multiple touches.
Okay, so tell me more about this. I'm intrigued.
It's the idea that it takes multiple interactions with your brand, your message, your offer, before someone is ready to buy. You need to stay top of mind, nurture the relationship over time.
So it's not just about that one sales call. It's about, like, building a connection over time.
Exactly. Think about it. How many marketing messages do you think you encounter on a daily basis? Hundreds, thousands.
Probably more than I even realize.
Exactly. So if you want to stand out from the noise, you need to be strategic. You need to create a consistent drumbeat of communication that resonates with your target audience.
And that might look different for everyone, right? Maybe it's a weekly email newsletter. engaging content on social media, targeted ad campaigns.
Exactly. It's about finding the right mix of channels and strategies that work for you and your business.
So it's less about being everywhere at once and more about being strategic and consistent with your messaging.
Precise.
Right.
Now let's bring this all back to a specific example, because I know these stories really bring Kennedy's principles to life.
Oh, you're reading my mind. Let's hear it.
Remember the photographer we talked about earlier, the one who tripled his prices?
Yes.
Well, he actually implemented a lot of these Kennedy strategies and saw incredible results.
So he wasn't just raising prices for the sake of it. There was a method to the madness.
Exactly. Before Kennedy, he was undervaluing his work, chasing clients, and, frankly, struggling to make ends meet. He was like the definition of a starving artist.
Yeah. But Kennedy helped him see that he was worthy of charging a premium for his talent.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about the price tag. He completely revamped his business model, focusing on a niche clientele who were willing to pay top dollar for his expertise.
So he created that, like, exclusive feeling that we talked about.
Exactly. He started attracting these clients who valued his unique style and were willing to pay a premium for his services.
Wow. It's amazing what a shift in mindset and a few strategic tweaks can do.
It really is. He went from struggling to make rent to running a thriving photography business.
It's really a testament to the fact that these strategies work, but it's not just about the money, right?
Not at all. In fact, Kennedy argues that one of the biggest benefits of creating demand is that it allows you to be more selective about who you work with.
Oh, that's a good point. So you can say no to projects that aren't a good fit, to clients who aren't a good match, and really focus on the work that truly lights you up.
Precisely. And that leads to greater job satisfaction, less stress, and a more fulfilling career overall.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're doing work that you love for clients that you admire and getting paid what you're worth.
Exactly. And that's what no BS selling is all about.
It really is. It's about crafting a career and a life that you're genuinely excited about. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into Dan Kennedy's No BS Selling, there's one more story I wanted to touch on. It really, I think, illustrates so many of these principles that we've been discussing.
You must be talking about Elizabeth, the dog trainer, who was afraid to charge what she was worth.
That's the one. It's a classic case of, undervaluing your expertise. She was incredibly talented, like a true dog whisperer, as they say. But she was struggling financially because she was just stuck in this mindset of, I don't want to scare clients away with my prices.
It's a common fear.
Yeah.
And it can be so limiting. But thankfully, Kennedy, he helped her see things a little differently.
He did. He encouraged her to triple her rates and reposition herself as this, premium dog trainer. It's amazing how one shift can change everything, right?
It's about recognizing that you're not just providing a service, you're offering a solution, you're offering an experience. And in Elizabeth's case, she wasn't just training dogs, she was transforming the relationships between these pets and their owners.
Exactly. She was
Yeah.
providing such incredible value, and Kennedy helped her to see that her prices, they should reflect that. But it wasn't just about, like, raising her rates. He also gave her some really savvy advice on how to create a more kind of exclusive experience for her clients.
Oh, absolutely. It's often those subtle touches that make all the difference. For example, instead of her traveling to her clients' homes, she had them come to her. She had this facility and she had it outfitted to be both, functional, but also luxurious.
Yeah, creating that sense of, this is special, this is worth it.
Precisely. And it worked. By shifting her mindset, raising her prices, and creating that more premium experience, she went from, honestly, barely scraping by to literally having a waiting list for her services.
Wow, what a story, right? It's just a powerful reminder that sometimes the best thing you can do for your business is to stop undervaluing yourself and start owning your worth.
I couldn't agree more. And that's really the heart of what Kennedy is trying to teach us. It's not about being pushy. It's not about, manipulating people into buying from you. It's about building those genuine connections, demonstrating your value, and creating that buying experience that just feels good for everyone involved.
Yes, it's about shifting your perspective from, like, selling to serving, from
Right.
closing deals to building relationships.
Exactly. And when you can approach your work from that place of authenticity and generosity, the results can be truly remarkable.
They really can. So if we had to, like, distill Dan Kennedy's No BS Selling down to its essence, what would it be? What's the one big takeaway that we want our listeners to kind of carry with them?
I think it's this. Success in any field, but especially in sales, it's as much about mindset as it is about strategy. you know?
Mm.
It's about believing in yourself, believing in your product or service, and believing in your ability to create something truly valuable for other people.
Yeah, it's about that unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you're not just selling something, you're making a difference.
Exactly. And that confidence, that authenticity, it's palpable.
Mm.
And it draws people in. It's what makes them want to work with you, buy from you, and tell other friends about you.
It's about building a business and a life that you're truly proud of.
Well said.
Now, as always, we like to leave our listeners with a little something to ponder, a question to kind of spark their thinking. And this one comes directly from Dan Kennedy himself. He argues that the best salespeople, they don't just close deals, they create demand. So here's the question for you. How can you become so valuable, so sought after in your field that people are lining up to work with you?
That is a powerful question, and one that I encourage everyone listening to really sit with.
Yes, because the answers might just surprise you. That's all for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.